Just, just want to let you guys know, I am at an SCA camping event in Washington right now. So my phone battery is running a little low, and data might go away. So I don't have my laptop. I just have my phone with limited battery. So I'll see how much I can participate tonight.
Here we go.
We'll just roleplay that your character is having temporary mental distress.
All right, I am just grabbing water and a couple things, and then I am ready. Sorry about the delay. It's been a busy Friday, but I hope y'all are ready because it's going to be a good one.
Did you hear what Gabriel said already?
I did not.
Gabriel, you can repeat it, or I can repeat it.
Do you want to wait until I get back, or do you want to say it now?
Oh, just so you know, I originally wasn't going to be here tonight because I'm at an SCA camping event, but I do have some battery and reception on my phone, but I don't have my laptop, so
Okay.
I'll just try and role play.
That's
If
fine.
that's all right.
That's fine. I can do any rolls for you in Fantasy Grounds if need be.
Sweet.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. I will be back in just a minute. Do you have enough battery for tonight, or should I be pressed on getting started?
I think I'll be okay. I'm gonna see if I can borrow my right's car keys.
Okay, perfect.
And just sit inside the car in charge of
Okay,
play.
sounds good. Then I will be back in like 2 minutes. Y'all can
Right.
chat and whatnot.
No problem.
So, actually, I shouldn't say that. Well, it's not a character. Did anyone else have a dream last night?
Okay, if anybody said anything to me, I didn't hear.
I guess we're keeping quiet on our dreams.
I don't think I had a dream.
I did. Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. I can hear you.
dream.
We're just quiet.
Okay.
I tell you my dream. My dreams are private.
I'll be right back, guys. I might hang up for a second, but I'll be back.
All right.
So where's Hestia and Jasper? He said he was going to shank us. Or, no, he implied that he might stab us. What is a gentle stab?
What a surgeon gives you.
Oh, with anesthesia.
Yeah, an incision is another word for it.
I'm actually not quite sure if my character has organs, so I don't know what you'd be incisioning to get.
So it'll be impossible to heal you then.
No.
Oh, he got stabbed through his seventh heart. Dang it. Does he need all seven?
I'm not actually, honestly, I'm not sure how it works exactly. But... Are there heart
Our
transplants?
anatomy is the same as humans.
Wait, is Prince telling us what he is or something?
No, I am not. But I think you.
Traitor.
I think you already know.
I'm jumping on voice now.
Knowledge check on it, didn't you?
I know.
Wait.
I know. Well, I mean,
Wait, what is this?
Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
No, what?
Out of character.
No, I just barely started listening. I've been away from the keyboard, so I want to hear.
The way that Taggart explained it was that he showed me the player something, but he says like the knowledge I share with you, you're going to be getting it increased. Like Jasper will be getting it. So, yeah. So I have to role play how I incrementally gain that knowledge.
What knowledge? Did you just spoil something, Prince?
I did not spoil anything. I just said I don't. Hestia was saying that she was going to do surgery on me, and I said I don't know how that would work with my character.
You don't know how what would work with you?
surgery.
Oh, okay.
Everybody, this is our newest player.
Okay.
All right, Savannah Banana, introduce yourself. Tell them your name.
Wait, did I? Oh.
You need to give them your social security number. Just drops the full name.
That's awesome, Savannah. So did I tell you guys about the D&D-esque kids game that I got for Thomas?
Oh, yes, you did. Yes,
Okay, it is. I mean, it's like super simplified. It's really just structure and then an art book and ideas, but Thomas loves it. You were muted, by the
All of
way,
you have
Jake.
children?
I think it's just me and Jake. Well, obviously Erica as well. That would be kind of weird.
Children,
Obviously.
about to feel left out.
The spicy food was enough of a paternity test on Thomas. I know. I'm saying there wasn't technically a medical paternity test for me, but the spicy food speaks for itself. Oh, where's Enrique to attest to the day that he was like almost a year old and still eating the hot? Or no, he was almost a year old and he was eating the spicy chips at a D&D session that were too hot for some of the players.
So,
That's
do you like spicy food? Is that a thing?
One of my favorite stories. One of my favorite stories myself is, I don't know if you know this, but my degree was in engineering, which means that I didn't see anyone other than my study companions or my wife while I was in my last 2 years of school. And that's not a joke. I literally didn't see someone if they weren't in my classes. So I was at my study partner's house and we were getting chips and salsa. And he's like, oh, yeah, I've got some salsa in the fridge. And I go to the fridge and I open it up, look at the salsa, and my honest to God reaction was, no! And he's like, what? Is it expired? No, worse. It's mild. It absolutely should not. So in the year 2004, my mom made a batch of salsa, and we didn't have any jalapenos or peppers in the garden that year. And so her salsa was literally just tomatoes and onions. And I have never let her live it down since then because it was the worst batch of salsa I've ever had in my entire life, bar none. And I will periodically send messages to the family group and just be like, hey, does anyone remember the 2004 salsa? And then everyone else is like, what? Yeah, it was that bad. It was that bad. It traumatized me. The lack of flavor. And then there was that one, I almost said field trip, the one road trip that I had with a certain someone and my wife, and then someone bought mild salsa to be inclusive, and so it was disgusting. I didn't eat it. I didn't eat it. Okay.
Is that the same bungee chair y'all got for me?
This is the exact same bungee chair that you gave us. It is. What else? What other bungee chair have we gotten, babe? Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Yes. Kayla gave us this chair when we got married, and we still have it. What? What do you? What? What other bungee chair? No, I have no idea because you never had one. Then why did Kayla recognize it immediately, babe? Boom. Nope. No. That's right. Yeah, after all that we've been through,
You know
divorced over
too, man. Come on.
the DM. Okay, Enrique, you can back me up here. Do you remember the one D&D session? I think it was your one shot that you ran when Thomas was eating the spicy chips that were too hot for like half of everyone else. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yep.
And not just in Arizona, we went out with Erica and Thomas to a Mexican restaurant, and Thomas was eating some of the spicier and the staff thought that he was crying because the sauce was too hot. But no, he was crying because a potato chip got the base of the mouth.
Didn't they say something like he's more Mexican than we are?
Yeah.
Yeah, his favorite food is chips and salsa. When we have to ration them from him when we go out to eat at a Mexican restaurant because he will down them, and then when we take the chips away, he'll grab the bowl of salsa and just.
Oh wow.
All right.
Man, he puts me to shame.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll get him, babe. Okay, guys, give me 1 minute. I'm gonna go. Okay. Thomas has been in bed for an hour, which means he's still awake. And I don't know what happened, but he just whacked his head or something.
My uncle.
I guess we'll find out what happened when Erica gets back. All right. Y'all ready to start? Okay, who is not? Oh, everyone except for Erica. No. Who is not? Oh, Enrique is not in Fantasy Grounds, and that is to be expected. Okay. 1 sec. Yeah, I can get it out. Oh, that's why he's crying, because the robot vacuum sucked up a screw from one of his toy dinosaurs. I guess he went into his room. Okay. Who wants to give us a recap of what happened last time? Actually, real quick, what do you guys think about that? Do you prefer for me to give a recap, or do you like it when one of you gives a recap?
I'm pretty neutral. Whoa.
That was a very interesting response. I think I'd like a third opinion before we go for it, but
Yeah.
I think the DM is always going to give the best recap unless they have memory problems.
Yeah.
Who are you again?
I think if the player isn't going to do it in a particular style, then it's probably better just have the DM give
Okay.
the recap.
Yeah, I'm fine with doing that. Okay.
Well, is anyone here good at making like pictures?
Define making pictures. Do you mean drawing?
Something like I was trying to figure out. I need a separate picture for my fantasy ground thing, and I've been
Oh.
looking on Google for one, and
I
I
see.
can't find anything that fits the description. I mean, you could just read it. You said Hero Forge?
I think that's where his is from.
That's yeah, that's where I got mine from. Because I couldn't find mine on Google image search. I just made mine on my. I mean, it was free. That's unless I'm gonna print it or order it, I'm not. I'm not. I don't have to pay to create.
Is it Hero Forge miniatures though?
Yes. Yeah, his.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't see his. He's not up there. Never mind. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, well, go ahead. I'm sorry to take up too much time.
No, you're good.
I'm just gonna grab a picture of Apollo. You guys can just
Okay.
imagine that he's gold.
Yeah, that works. Gosh, where's my stuff? Okay. I don't know why I was pulling up a thing. I don't have a specific thing for tonight. Okay. So, last time, you guys began your journey away from the city of Barrowing towards the capital, which has a name that I have not yet decided on. I will decide on one when we get there, or a little bit before. But for the sake of tonight and up until now, the name does not matter. What does matter is what you found along the way. You heard rumors both in the city and along the path of a large, menacing creature, which is known to leave no survivors, none even who witness it. And you also found another small village. Does any of you want to give a description of what you found in the village, or would you prefer me to do so?
found like a museum of dead bodies or not dead bodies, of undead creatures in homes that were living out their lives like they had not died, but they were doing it poorly. I think that's good enough.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's a farm village and it's zombies instead of animatronics, and it's maybe slightly less creepy than Pirates of the Caribbean.
That may or may not be true. I think that's up to interpretation. Being that I'm not an artist or a filmmaker, we will never know. But yes, there were farmers and several houses and families even that had been turned into effectively animatronic museum exhibits, living out what appeared to be a form of their life prior to their death. Upon leaving the town, you were able to continue making your way towards the capital, though not without seeing other signs of undead, though you were able to keep away from them. Now, as the night went on, a few of you, took care of various things throughout the night, slipping away from the group or not slipping away from the group. Is there any of you who would like to go over anything specific that you did this night?
I did. I guess I can just tell you I did that in a message.
Yeah, if there's something that you wouldn't have done where other people can see, then
that's the thing.
Prince,
you already know what it is.
Prince would have slipped away and come back probably, an hour later or something?
Yeah.
Before retiring for the night. Now, would you set up a watch?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yes. Yeah. But I also would have briefly slipped away in the night. And if nobody bothered to follow me, then I slipped away and I came back after like it had been like 20 minutes tops.
What would you have said you were leaving for?
Just to, I guess.
Let's play that out in character.
So I guess Jasper. Oh yeah, that's because both Jasper and Nomad have their lack of sleep, except for like their 2 hours or whatever. I guess may left as well. Does Prince sleep?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, so really it's just Nomad.
Group
so
doesn't need to
Jasper
sleep.
Said,
Barely.
Jasper would have said something like, "I'm gonna go 2 paces that way. I'll be back. 20 minutes tops."
I mean, I'm outside, so I don't know if you're going.
I think you're all outside.
Yeah.
I don't believe. I mean, at most you'll have tents or something of the like for mild cover.
Of some sort?
Did you build a structure, Hestia? What kind of structure was it? A web structure? She built a web structure with the spell. What's the name of the spell? Just tell me that.
Well, I would have just told you, Jasper. I would have been, is there anything I can help with?
Yeah, why not? Why not? You could actually help me a bit.
All right. What are we doing?
Well, we'll just. I like to be in private when I do this. Everyone's. Well, I don't know about everyone. But it's just kind of my way of getting myself prepared for the next day. And Jasper reaches into his bag of his handy haversack, and he pulls out a shovel. Can you help me with this part? I just kind of need a. I just need to dig a hole big enough for some just a small pool of water. I can provide the water.
Okay. take the shovel and go where you direct me.
Oh, all right, so I guess we just go like a few paces away. Like, I mean, it's like I would say that Jasper is still decently visible from the camp, but like maybe we're if assuming we're not getting close to the undead, maybe we're like
Are decently up in the mountains, so you've got plenty of space from the undead.
yeah. At the most, we'd be 100 yards away from the camp. Just like you know, I'm still visible. Like I'm still inside. I'm not. I'm not running.
Yep, carry on. You don't need to measure
yeah,
that with a yardstick.
About right here is fine, I suppose. Thanks for the help.
Of course. What's this for exactly? Ritual for a god, or?
Well, it's for me. It's just something I need to do. Get myself in the right mindset.
He just wants to piggyback.
He'll be able to like sit in it, and that's it.
That'll be fine enough. Thank you.
Okay, so go ahead and quickly describe your process then, Jasper.
Yeah, I guess I'm just making sure that the pool of I'm not the pool. I'm not putting water in it yet. But I guess the hole I'm asking Nomad to dig is basically wide. It's wide enough. I'd say it's about like 2 feet in diameter. It doesn't have to be like a circle or anything, but just about roughly 2 feet in diameter, and then deep enough that, like you said, Nomad offered to make it deep enough to sit in, just because that is a lot of work. And that's fine.
Is it like a grave?
No, not a grave. You can't really. I don't know. It's not long enough. It's 2 feet in diameter, so it's not really grave size unless it's like a small, less than 2 foot.
He could squat inside of it and kind of sit down a little bit. Is pretty much how big it is.
Yeah, that's basically the process. And then I guess does Nomad finish the job?
Yeah. I would do everything.
Thank you for that. And Jasper reaches out for the shovel.
Need me for anything else?
No, I suppose that's it. I can do the rest from here. I'll just have my alone time. I'll be back over there pretty soon.
All right. I will walk away.
Would you stay close enough that you can watch? Or see what he does, or would you go back to camp?
I might like look back. Yeah, curious as to what's going on.
You look back and then you see as Jasper's moving his hands, likely casting some magic from what you can tell. And 100 yards away, I'm not sure, would he be able to hear the effects of the spell?
He would be able to hear that you're casting.
I certainly wouldn't.
Yeah. No details.
Okay. And then I'm not sure if he'd see anything else up there.
Nope. No, unless he's gonna specifically look, that's about all he'd see.
Yeah.
So you
like if you look
dug
back
the
while you're
hole.
walking away,
Okay, and then when you return to camp,
He said he wanted alone time,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to like sit like directly behind him or anything. But anyways, go on.
yeah. So when you return to camp, go ahead and just describe what you do when you return to camp, and then we will move on from there. If Prince needs to describe anything, or
when
not.
Jasper returns to camp, I guess you would notice that his clothes are dry, his hair is wet, and he might be kind of maybe shivering a little bit.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. And then he goes to looking over one of his books.
And then Prince, you also step away for probably what, an hour or so?
Yes, I step away for an hour.
Yeah. All right.
I do not look sneaky or anything. I'm just walking.
Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. All right,
And then I
so
come back and go to sleep.
whoever's going to do watch, go ahead and give me a perception check.
Did we decide who's doing it? I can do it.
We have three
Yeah.
Either one.
I'll just
I can do either first or last watch.
okay. Go ahead and
during the
someone who wants to take watch. I'm not going to have everybody who's going to take watch roll. I'm just going to have Enrique. You said you'd take watch. Go ahead and roll for your watch, and then we'll go on from there.
During the night, I would like to make more progress with staff.
Okay.
That is all
Can
I
you roll
can
for
do.
me?
Oh yes, I can roll for you. Sitting here thinking, you want to roll?
Thank you.
Come on, man. All right. Okay, so you make a perception check, and you don't see anything coming close to you at all during the night. You all wake up the next morning feeling more well rested, or at least more prepared for the next day, in the case of those of you who are undead and don't rest. But everyone else, except Malith, you wake up the next morning feeling more refreshed, though still there hangs a bit of a what I would almost describe as a dampness in the air. Not a tangible dampness, but just that there's something about the air now as you're getting closer to the capital that feels different than out where you were in Barrowayne.
Is there a possible knowledge check here?
Yeah, go ahead and make a knowledge. I would say knowledge nature.
I'm still gonna make that or roll.
Can I assist on that?
Well, if it's an important
Not
role, I can.
not at this moment. No, Enrique. Go ahead, Prince, and make a roll. And then Maleth, I might have you make a separate roll in a minute. So you're easily able to tell, Prince, that the feeling here, you do recognize it from before, and especially having been here then to Barrowayne and back, it's a noticeable difference, though it's slight. It's one of those things that you might, I mean, kind of like, if have any of you spent time where it's very hot and humid after being somewhere where it's not, how you kind of, you may not notice immediately, but you're going to just perspire a lot more, and after a while you'll just be like, why am I sweating so much? Oh. And then it's that sort of realization, except for, again, it feels almost the same, except for it's not a physical thing. And what you can tell is that it is certainly not natural. You would wager that it has something to do with magic. Maleth, go ahead and make a knowledge arcana check. And Prince, would you remark on this to anybody else? This feeling and the things that you notice about it?
Sure, definitely. I would
Okay.
notice. I mean, I'm sure everyone notices that it's moist, right?
Well, as you pointed out, yes. Except Maleth, for you, the feeling is not quite the same. It's more invigorating than it is dampening. So, have you ever been on a run on a kind of a slightly chill morning, but after you're done with the run, you kind of have that interplay between the the heat of your body and the coldness of the air, and it's just very refreshing. That's how it feels for you.
So,
And you can tell, Maleth, that has to do with, as you're kind of looking at this based on your experience, that has something to do with necromantic energy.
Interesting.
And for you, at least, it is palpable in the air and it feels more invigorating. Whereas everyone else, or at least Prince, is describing it as more of like this uncomfortable, hot, humid feeling.
did she describe it? Are you going to describe it to us, Mia?
Yeah, I would mention that it feels refreshing to me, and then also point out that points to
So
something necromantic.
what I'm going to think. Okay. Um.
Oh, real quick,
Since
have
I think
have
it's
you
pretty.
guys revealed to Prince about Malith's condition?
No,
No, we have not.
Okay.
I
I
do
mean,
not know.
Looking
you
from the
still
moment.
well, you still look like a Dampier, and Prince would have recognized you as such.
Okay, so
Okay.
now that I see that there's a difference between our two responses, and I have an inkling that it's magical, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do a bardic performance, a masterpiece. It's called Pageant of the Peacock. It lets me dance for one bardic round, and it allows me to use a bluff check in place of an intelligence check or intelligence based skill.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm going to use my what's it called, versatile performance to bluff my way into a knowledge check. If that's possible. I think that's is that does that work?
So I don't think you need to use the versatile performance for this because this just straight up gives you a +4 bonus on bluff checks and lets you do a bluff in place of an intelligence check.
Yeah. Well,
So
I want to use my perform as an intelligence check. Does that work?
that's literally what this is doing. So versatile performance is a separate thing from your masterpieces
Mm-hmm.
that, and I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I know we looked at it last time, and the effect is similar, but this is going to do very much the same thing, except for you're also getting a +4 on that check.
Yeah.
So
Well, my bluff is low, but what I was saying is that I can use my performance order as a bluff
I
check.
see what you're saying. I see what
Yeah.
you're saying.
So then I'd be able to use a bigger bonus for it.
Okay, so you're wanting to get through and be able to use a perform check instead of a knowledge check.
Yes.
Okay. Um,
If that doesn't work, I can
I
have
will allow
Princess
it right now. I will have to look into that to decide how I feel about that for future. But for the moment, I will allow it to save
Well,
time.
yeah, I also have very
So
specific glib entertainer, which is how my performance is higher, which allows me to once per day use glibness, which gives me 20 bluff anyways.
okay,
So I can do it either way.
okay, yeah.
Um, okay, so I'm gonna roll it, and this is what would I need to do? Do I need an Arcana like hers,
What is it
or
that you're trying to understand?
well, I know it's magical, and from the nature check that I just did, did she do an
You
Arcana?
want to know
The magical
the
aspect of it.
sort. Okay, go ahead.
Well, what roll should I do? I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just
Um,
yeah. Go ahead. Roll a just. I mean, yeah. Whew, that was almost a 1. Okay. All right, with a 33. Give me a moment.
What is this to notice?
He is trying
I'm
to
doing a
so
knowledge check.
Oh, okay.
okay,
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
so here's what I'm going to say. And I'm going to put a few words in your mouth because as you're doing this performance, you're kind of so what you're doing is you're kind of getting in tune with yourself. You're taking a moment to kind of center yourself as you're because it's a dance, right? I had that pulled up.
But no, this is order. This would be an order versatile performance. I'm speaking.
So, oh yes, but the pageant of the peacock is a dance. So pretty much you're
Yeah.
speaking out loud as you're kind of dancing. So you're kind of going through this combination of a lot of things all at once. You're kind of just getting in the zone, you're dancing, and you just absent-mindedly start speaking what you're observing as you're kind of attuning yourself with the world around you, and you're taking this moment to kind of really soak in everything that's going on, everything that you're learning, and you just kind of speak what comes to your mind without really filtering it. And so here's what you say and what you observe is that the effect of the magic, and as you're kind of thinking about it now, you remember it was strongest when you were to the south, even more south of the capital where you first came here. But whatever it is being created by a magic user who approaches the strength of a god.
Oh,
And
can I say
that
this out loud?
yes, you're yeah, you're kind of just you're just speaking as you're in the zone. Almost, I almost want to say like an oracle or something like that, but just with you're absent-mindedly speaking as you're kind of doing this dance, and so the strength of this magic must approach that of a god with the far-reaching effect that it has, and yet whatever it has, it while it seems to positively affect the undead, it does not seem to have the same sort of effect that a typical deity's spell might have, such as unhollow or consecrate, where it's actually physically weakening living creatures or strengthening undead or vice versa. That what you can, as you're kind of feeling this, you almost start to feel a bit of a pull or a push, depending on the way that you attune yourself. And what you're kind of gathering from this is that it's almost like undead are being drawn here to Zelkir, and that living creature, and it's very subtle, but you can, now that you're kind of paying attention, you can almost feel that Zelkir itself almost seems to be pushing you away.
Okay, so I will communicate this. I think I'm just blurting it out.
Yes, yeah, you're pretty much just blurting it out. And I mean, in the way you say it, you're kind of just like, and Zelkir, it calls to them, it calls to the undead, and to us, it's pushing us away. It doesn't want us here. The land itself doesn't want us here.
Also, just for future the pageant of the Peacock that lasts for 10 minutes per bardic performance that I do, so it's an ongoing effect for a bit.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Jasper just looks over to Maleth with like a concerned expression, kind of like trying to gauge if she's concerned right now.
Do I? Is there any way to sense if Maleth is being pulled towards this? Like, I guess Maleth, do you feel like you're being pulled towards this? Would you?
I mean, I feel refreshed.
It's very subtle, but as he mentions it, you can almost identify that. There seems to be some sort of buffer between you and this feeling, this effect, but as you kind of take a moment to think about it, you can almost feel it calling to you. And again, it's very subtle, almost like the tug of a string that's barely even attached to you.
Okay, I'd relate to that to them. Yes, I feel a bit of a tug, slight. It's there.
Jasper looks over to Hestia, and I guess nodding, like nudging his head sideways towards Prince, while Prince is doing his weird, like, bardic thing. He just kind of mouths, is he okay? Should we do something?
And you're just talking about when you're asking me all these questions, right?
Just kind of how he got into the mode, into this zone, like he was in his element. And I guess Jasper would have been kind of like, in the middle of Prince's performance, seeing if he could make eye contact with somebody and be like, are we going to act like this is normal? Like, is this okay? Like, just kind of mouthing that.
I shrug and say,
Jasper heard birds. I mean, I guess he didn't hear anything, so he's a little confused.
Well, after it's done, I'm gonna ask. Are you guys sure we should be walking towards a city that is pulling all the undead in the area towards it?
Well, yeah, that's exactly where we want to go. We got a job to do.
So I know that he's kind of been a little bit forgotten, but the soldier that Lord Bellevant sent with you, he's he's there, and he's kind of, as all this is happening, he kind of pipes up and says, as much as I agree that it is a little concerning, and he looks towards Gabriel. He says, I think he's right that This is where we need to be going. There's
The power of a god is terrifying.
the soldier turns to you, Prince, and says, "Whether it be gods or whether it be mortals, this is my home. I will not be kicked away. I will not be batted down. If I must die, then I will die, but I will fight for my home."
Let's go.
Well,
There is something
sounds
going
like
on. We're the only ones that can probably make a difference. So if anything, we should head there.
Let's go.
After picking up camp, you begin making your way. At this point, in order to make it towards the capital, especially going by your recollection, Prince, and the indications of your map, it is time for you to begin moving more south, um, west southwest, rather than just west along the mountain range. And after a short amount of time, you see ahead of you what looks to be a village. However, unlike the previous village that you saw, not only is there no activity, but most of the buildings appear to be leveled.
This looks like the work of that creature, maybe.
As we approach the city, you said?
As you're making your way south and west, moving away from the mountains.
How far away are we from that village?
Probably about 200 or 300 yards, close enough that you can see that there are buildings that have been destroyed.
Okay, I want to stop and use my spyglass to do a perception.
looks like we're in
Yeah, let me pull you up.
Prince. What did you say you know about this creature in your travels?
The same as you, that it's killing. It seems to everything it runs into. It seems to wipe out without any trace, and it's very large, very large.
And where was the first time? Where were you the first time you heard about it?
I think it would be the east of here. I think.
It would have been somewhere in this area.
I think I want to say it.
Yeah.
Somewhat east of here. Okay.
I mean, based on his previous role, he's fuzzy on the details of when and where he was prior to getting to Barrowang. That's where his memory starts to be solid.
So how do we find this creature? Are we going to engage it?
Here, real quick, Gabriel had made a perception check with his spyglass. So, pulling out the spyglass, you're able to see. You can't make out any bodies on the ground, but you can see that there were probably 7 or 8 structures here. Most of them wooden with thatch roofs, and they've all been flattened. There's the occasional beam or pillar that's still up, but it's on its own, and everything else seems to be either strewn across the ground or crushed and trampled. You can make out what looks to be possibly a track of some sort from whatever did this, but that's it.
Thank you. Sorry, I do relate to everybody as I'm looking through.
So for context, right now it's probably getting close to midday. The sun, I mean, it's a bit of an overcast day, so not particularly bright. The sun is on its way up. There doesn't appear to be any special weather patterns right now, or any weather conditions.
Well, all we see is some crushed buildings and some dead bodies, right? Sorry,
No dead bodies.
no dead bodies.
There's no dead bodies. Yeah,
Not yet, anyway.
crushed houses.
There may have already been dead bodies. Again, there's this air of necromantic energy calling everything towards the capital, assuming our prince here is correct. But I don't doubt it. I felt something maybe somewhat like this before. You know that feeling when you go into like a dark, occulted cavern or the lair of a vampire brood. There's just something in the air that affects everything around it. So I'm inclined to believe you.
Is anyone here good at survival? Tracking. I think we might be able to track it because there's no way that something could do this much damage and not leave a trace.
Hestia is probably our best bet for tracking.
Yeah, I have a pretty good survival score. And if we're looking for dead, I can see it's gone.
I don't think this thing is dead. I'm not sure. I don't think something that large is undead.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about large creatures.
Yeah.
There's
What
something
makes you
about
think that it can't be undead?
Well, I don't know of anything that large that is undead. Via my check earlier. That's what I found out via the check, that I don't know anything undead that large.
There is large things that can be undead, such as the Dracolich.
Yeah, I've heard of something like that. Never faced one myself.
I've never had the misfortune to face one either.
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly call it a pleasure. It's I'm just killing undead in general. Pleasure.
Well, Hestia, can you do us a favor and track this?
I'll cast Detect Animals or Plants, and I'll think of the giant monster. That we run into one of its tracks. If that doesn't work, I'll kill my survival skill.
If it's supposed to be giant and like snake-like, though, I mean that should be pretty massive tracks it's leaving. Shouldn't be too hard
If we
to
go,
see.
if we
Just
find
a big
any of the
line in the
tracks,
ground.
Do we find any of its tracks?
How close do you go? Sorry, how close do you
So
go?
as close as possible. Make the best out of this spell.
Okay. So you get up close. You can make out the tracks. It definitely seems to be probably around 20 feet wide, these tracks are, and absolutely massive. You can see where it kind of bowled through, the entire area, tore down all the buildings, and it seems to have come from the south and to have returned in the direction of the southeast. Approximately.
And you said the town was southwest or southeast?
No, so you have to get up into the town to see this, and it's really more of a village than a town. Like we're talking another small farming village. Go ahead and somebody make a perception check for me as you get close. And then before you do that, Hestia, what was the spell that you cast?
detect animals or plants.
So, in brief, what does that do?
You can detect a particular kind of animal or plant in a cone emanating out from you in whatever direction you're faced. So you instinct is a kind of animal or plant you use as well, but you can change the animal or plant kind each round. Amount of information revealed depends on how long you search for a particular area or focus on a specific kind of animal or plant.
Okay, so as you kind of cycle through different plants and animals, you're able to tell that the vegetation in the area is fresh, that most of it is still alive. There are a number of small rodents in the area, although you can tell that there are a few underneath the path that were actually crushed while they were underground. They were a few feet under, and just as whatever it was traveling through across the ground, crushing whatever was above the ground, it also compressed the soil enough to actually crush and kill some small rodents and such that were underneath the soil as well. Other than that, you see very sparse animal life in the area. Your best guess, actually, based on all of that and the survival check that you made, is that whatever this was actually probably came through here not too long ago, like probably within a day.
And we know what direction it went?
It went
Or
south.
does
She knows that it went, or well, yeah, you can tell from the tracks. They are not. The survival check to notice them is like a 2. The direction that it went is southeast, or at least you have one set of tracks going southeast and one set going south. So one of them would be coming, one would be going. As you're discussing this and kind of looking at the tracks, Prince, you see something shifting in the rubble of one of the buildings.
Okay. I let everyone know it looks like there might be some survivors.
Survivors or undead. We should be careful.
In a war of the living against the undead, and with results like this, I don't think that's a survivor. And as I'm saying that, I pull out my bow and a nock and arrow, and I'm going to aim it at. I'm going to shoot any undead that I see.
Any obvious undead or any undead or any creatures?
Hold on.
How far away are we?
Any obvious undead.
You're probably about 30 or 40 feet from this spot.
Okay. Is anyone good at? Does anyone here have the ability to detect undead or notice? I notice a lot of you guys are good with undead.
Yeah. If Malith, do you want to take the rear and I can take the front? Yeah. Or go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
What is Maleth doing?
Esty already did it.
Did what?
She did a detect undead on fantasy.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Oh.
Okay.
We were
So
on it.
detect undead will not reveal if something is underground, because it'll be stopped by a foot of what's it called? A foot of earth. But you do not detect undead in the direction of the movement.
Does she know that it won't work?
Yes, she'll know that it won't work.
Okay.
Okay. Underground.
I'll walk within 15 feet of it. I'll pull out my whip. I'll call out. I'll say, "Is somebody there? Do you need our help?"
You hear no response for a moment, but eventually you see a hand reach out and weakly push up on some of the rubble. You don't hear anything though.
Jasper reaches out, or he kind of approaches. Like he's on his horse right now.
Okay.
He goes next to the nomad and says, "I'm not sure whatever this is alive. I feel like that much rubble.
check it out.
I also have my
We'll be
grave
ready.
site.
All right, so Nomad, you're investigating more thoroughly. Go ahead and
So there was a hand that just came out, pushed some rubble, and it just went back into the rubble.
yes. So let's see, within 30 feet. So if you're using an ability, babe, just let me know so that I can, because I'm not always watching Fantasy Grounds.
I did say words.
Okay. I'm just saying get my attention so I can hear because other stuff's happening. All right, so gravesite. You'll have to be a lot closer to use that. Do you want to get that close?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can tell that your party is all fine. And you can feel that there are 6 life forms beneath the rubble. Far beneath the rubble for most of them.
And what is their status?
Let's see. So you're able to tell the general health. Oh, living, wounded, dying, or dead. Okay,
And as
They're
well as determine
all-
if any are undead.
sure. So you don't detect any that are undead. You do, however, know that most are wounded and one is unharmed.
Guys, we gotta figure these people out. They're not undead.
Jasper gets off his horse and pulls out a shovel from his bag.
Okay. All right. So as you start trying to dig them out, you're moving aside the rubble, and it becomes evident to you very quickly that there is actually a cellar of sorts that they are in. You're able to clear away the rubble enough to see it, and you can tell that the top of the cellar has been mangled and damaged. It is no longer able to close properly, but the people inside do appear to be okay, at least from what you can tell. There is.
Anything in there?
Say again?
Go ahead. Sorry.
What was that, a question for me or a question for them?
No, never mind.
Okay. So as you look inside, you can see a little bit of storage, some food, and a couple of other things that are down there. You can see a small child, as well as what appears to me a small family. You've got about 4 adults, and then an older teenager, and then a small child, probably about 8 or 9 years old. And most of them appear to be nursing injuries of some sort, except for the small child, who looks to be fine, though you can see fear and concern in all of their eyes. And the oldest looking one, a man who probably looks to be 60 or 70, comes forward and, kind of putting himself in between you and the rest of them while they're all still down in the cellar itself, he whispers to you, and you can recognize his hand, Nomad, as the one that was sticking out, and he whispers to you, Is it gone?
It's gone.
His
Do
eyes,
you need any help?
his eyes dart to the side. You're sure? What, are there any others up there?
We haven't searched exhaustively, but so far you're the only ones we've seen.
He nods. I expect as much.
What
Who
happened here?
we were we were able to stay nondescript, unnoticed by everything that was happening. We there were other families who tried to leave the area, and I don't know if they made it or not, but we had thought it was safer here to stay and to be here out away from everything else. There's a small spring you see that we're able to subsist with, but that was until yesterday when the beast came. We felt it coming first, and then we were able to hide in our cellar, but the other families, they didn't get there in time. And with that, he looks around at the decimated houses and the rubble around him and says, I don't know if they made it. I don't think they did.
Layla is gonna look kind of sadly and just say, I'm sorry for what happened. We can help you look for people, but can you tell us more about this beast?
We didn't see it. We've heard stories from other people trying to flee the area. I didn't believe them myself, not until yesterday. But they had described a creature that was large enough to destroy buildings, which I suppose turns out to be true. But there was one person who had claimed to have seen something. It was very large, and skin was pink in some way. It may have been a trick of the light. But that's all that I know. As soon as we felt it coming, we feared the worst and hid. He looks back at the cellar and says, It almost destroyed our cellar anyway. I'm surprised that we were able to survive, though I am quite thankful. The gods be praised. And for you to have come and assisted us, I suppose there is some goodness left in the world, in dark times such as this.
Let's get you out of there. I'll drop my whip down. I'll just tell them, grab onto this, and I can lift all of you out individually.
Yeah. So as you're kind of looking down there, you can see that there at one point was a staircase, though it appears to have been crushed as whatever it was came over top of this, that it got damaged and fell down in. So the pit is probably about 5 or 6 feet deep. You're able to, one by one, pull everyone out. They send the teenager up first, and he kind of surveils the rest of you, and you can see fear still strong in each of their faces. And then after him, they send up the young girl, and then each of the rest of the adults comes up after.
I'm going to give them each a piece of jerky when they come up, just to kind of help them calm down a bit. And to the adults, I'm going to offer a sip of whiskey for my flask.
The adults reject the meat. They say that they haven't the stomach for it right now, but they do accept the whiskey. The children do eat, though they aren't particularly hungry. They explain that they did have food down there.
Can I walk up to the guy that was previously talking to
Yeah.
Meg?
The older gentleman, the grandpa.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you don't mind, I'd like to use you as a minor vessel for a spell, just to see what was going on here.
You see unease on his face.
I'll do a diplomacy check
Yeah.
to change his attitudes. And I'll use versatile performance
Yeah.
order.
So go ahead, and I'm going to have you roleplay this as well. So his response as you say that, you see unease on his face, and he steps back a little bit and says, after all that's gone on, I don't know that magic would be of use in such a situation as this. What we need is safety for my family. What we need is help, not magic. Magic is what caused all of this mess to begin with.
Well, I'm not sure that I can offer you safety at the moment. I can help you get to safety, and I can ease you and say that if the creature does return here, we will do everything in our ability to protect you. The spell that I was willing or wanting to cast was just one to get an idea of just how strong this creature was and what it is so that we may prepare for it. It will not hurt, and it'll only take a second or a minute.
You see the unease remain on his face, but he looks at his family for a moment, and with concern in his eyes, he nods to you and steps forward and says, "Do it then. If it will help
All right.
you know how to deal with this beast."
I'm going to use the same spell I did before, but I'm going to touch him,
Yes.
and it allows me to see scenes and
Yep.
images
So
of what happened.
you pretty much get a minute in his head of this experience. And so I would presume I'll put a little few words in your mouth just because your character would know this even if you don't. So you kind of describe to him, tell him focus on what you remember, focus on when the beast was coming, what you did. And he closes his eyes for a moment. He seems to concentrate and he says, "All right, go ahead." So you step forward, and as you cast the spell, you lay your hands kind of on his head, just above the eyes, just kind of touch him, kind of like that. And as you do so, for a moment, you can see through his eyes. You can feel through him, and the ground is shaking, like an earthquake is happening. And you hear yourself speak, "It can't be. No, it can't be real." To which the other adults that you recognize from that you just rescued say, "We must go, now, to the cellar, before it gets here." And with the ground shaking, you gather everyone there. The little girl begins to weep and cry and scream even. Her brother puts his hand over her mouth and says, "Shh, shh, we must not draw its attention. Be quiet." And everyone huddles down inside the cellar. And after a moment, as you look up, you see the ground begin to give way above you. The supports in the cellar buckle, and soil begins to fill the cellar a little bit as the entire area seems to be crushed. The sound is immense. I mean, much like if you had heavy machinery nearby, you can make out faint screams, and you can hear the building around you being demolished. And as the screams inside begin to die out, as everyone kind of gains a hold of themselves, what little light was coming through dissipates, and then the memory ends, and you are back in your own body.
So he didn't see it.
He didn't see it, but after having experienced that, and you look, you almost have a bit more of a familiarity with the family, and you can see that while things have calmed down, the fear in their eyes is still very vivid.
Well, I don't know if this will work out of character. I don't know if this will work this way, but can I inspire courage through song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, you have
It
inspire
gets a
courage.
morale bonus to
Yep.
saving throws and charms, but I feel like, you know.
Yep.
Okay.
Use your combat thing out of combat, and I will find a way to make it work. So, go ahead. Describe to me what you do, or if you're going to give a speech,
Okay.
give a
I
speech.
will. Ooh, I don't know if I want to sing or give a speech. I will. I will sing a song about people overcoming obstacles, great obstacles, and an uplifting song about overcoming tragedies and how everything can be okay if you just
Go ahead and give me a perform check.
bond together. Okay, let me find some.
You begin singing about this, and as you start, you kind of fix it in your mind. What is it you want to sing about? And all of a sudden, a story comes to your mind. You're not sure where it's from, but it feels natural, almost as if it's a memory that you have. And you sing of a people, a people who are, hardy and, you know, courageous and just, like you're saying, kind of banding together. And as you start speaking, you say, and they fight for Zelakar, they fight for Zelkir, and they stand together, keeping each other strong. And you're kind of just going on giving this very specific story and telling about how in this time of crisis that they banded together to protect what was theirs, and that through the difficulty they didn't want to give up, they didn't want to give in, and so they defended their homeland, and they always stood strong. And you finish it off by saying, and that is the story of the founding of Zelkir. And it kind of shocks you as you say that, like you're not sure where it came from, but it felt natural as you delivered the story.
Okay. Are they less afraid? Because
You can see, yeah, no, absolutely, you can see the difference in their eyes. The little girl is still whimpering a little bit, but everybody else, I mean, and even her, but everybody looks more put together. What you did definitely made an impact on them. You can see them standing a little bit straighter. There's still a little bit of fear in their eyes, but you can see resolve has begun to stand there as well. And the grandfather looks to you and says, I remember hearing that story when I was her age. And he motions to the little girl. But it was a lost story, one that I haven't even thought of since then. I wonder how you know it. Thank you.
Sure. I just know that I needed you to know that you weren't alone and that there's a way out of here. And it just came to my mind.
He nods. Thank you. All of you. Adventurers, you must be. He looks you all up and down. You certainly don't have the look of village folk or refugees. You must be traveling. Are you are you happening upon Zelkir in this time of crisis, or are you here for a purpose?
Well, I
This is
think
my homeland, and I would not see it destroyed.
As you say that, he offers you a small salute that you recognize as the common salute among soldiers of Zalkir. And he nods.
I would salute back.
Then
I'm
you're
sorry,
here.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I was going to suggest that you would know more about this than me.
Then you're here to help with whatever is going on.
Yes, that's right. We're doing our best out here, and we're trying to track the monster, Dorothy, that you saw.
I'm sorry that there isn't any other description that I can give other than it is. And he motions to the ground and to the tracks, obviously large enough to do all of this. And if the story and the rumor that I heard was to be believed, it is some sort of pink or maroon.
The color actually helps a lot. We didn't have that bit of information yet, so appreciate that.
Yes. Ever since you mentioned that, I've actually been wondering if I could roll a news check to see if it rings any new bells.
Go ahead, Malith.
Okay, what knowledge would that be?
Give me a knowledge religion.
Okay, I'll give her guidance.
Okay.
May I assist?
I will let you assist.
Everybody
Can I
go.
inspire confidence?
I will count what you did before, just for the sake of circumstance. I'm going to say that you can count that as already having been done with your previous rolls.
Everyone roll religion to assist.
Okay.
Go. Everyone. Really.
Okay. All right.
With that roll, Malith, as you're thinking, it clicks in your mind. You know that in areas that are suffused with necromancy and necromantic energy, there are times that carrion eaters, especially ones such as worms or centipedes or millipedes, things like that, have been known at times to be transformed by necromantic energy. And while you've never heard of one becoming this size, they can become incredibly large. And when they do so, they are ravenous and seek death. Or I should say, seek out death. Not for themselves, but as carrion eaters. And they become a form of...
relay that information as soon as we were like away from the family.
Tiger, what was the last thing you were about to say?
Oh, and I was just saying, and yeah, I can't remember what the other thing I was going to say was, but yeah.
Were you about to say they become some form of
Oh,
undead?
yes, they become some form of undead.
After what? Sorry.
When these carrion eaters die, sometimes if there is necromantic energy around them when they die, then they will become suffused with it and be transformed by it in death. And become, feed on death until they become large or big, and just they can reach monstrous size if not dealt with.
Does necromantic energy leave any... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was saying we have a gigantic zombie horror.
It is.
Does necromantic energy leave a trace like normal magic would? Especially something of that size.
So something that is suffused with energy. So for example, when you cast a spell, it will leave behind a residue or an aura for a certain amount of time where that spell was cast. But once like for example, you have your magic items, they don't leave behind a residue. You'd have to actually detect on the item itself, unless it in and of itself casts a spell, in which case there would be that residue. Undead are the same. They don't leave behind a residue, except for when the spells were initially cast. And for clarity, any of you who've used Detect Magic since coming to Zelkir, the energy that's in the air, that feeling, it's not strong enough to be detectable via Detect Magic. Just so you know. At least not where you've been. So yeah. Whatever this is, though, you know that it is big, scary, and pink.
Thank you. It was an Alaskan bullworm! I knew you were hinting at that last time, but I was gonna wait to see.
I'm confused.
Tie its tongue up.
Anybody else, or is it just Jake and Parley that know that one? I'll take that as just a Jake and Parley.
Dang it! Oh,
Darn.
man.
Two out of 6, man. Yeah, I'm glad at least 2 of you got it, and I'm glad that you saw it beforehand, Jake, because
You're welcome. I didn't want to. I wanted it to settle in. I figured there might be a repeat of it, but
yeah.
anyway.
All right. Anyway, back in character. Yes, you know of these creatures, and they are generally known as exoskeletons, and they can reach massive size. This one, no, they are generally mindless undead, though they can be directed to an extent. And they can be created on purpose or they can be created on accident. There's really no way to tell. But the point is this one, based on the proportion of the tracks, you would put it in the size category of colossal. Bigger than any that you've ever heard of, Malith.
Oh, wow.
Well, I suggest we go kill it. We have a bunch of experts who know how to kill undead. Let's go do it.
Wait, did we even leave that one conversation with people yet?
Nope, you're still with them.
Oh, okay. I thought Malith. Oh, yeah. I thought. Anyways.
No worries.
Go ahead and somebody make a perception check. Okay.
How do you get a purple dice?
Yikes.
Yeah, you can just choose your dice color.
You
I-
go to tool at the top right of fantasy grounds.
Yeah, and then there's
see
colors
the
there.
palette thing.
You can choose the number color and also the dice color. All right, so Prince and Malith, as you are kind of having this conversation, you realize that the sky is getting darker. Clouds are moving in quickly. While it's approaching midday now, or it's pretty much midday, the sky is getting darker with the clouds.
All right. Well, are we still in the presence of these people?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, you were with them
Okay.
still.
We need to find a way to get these people to safety, or kill the creature. And we need to do it before it gets too dark.
I don't see how we could do either of those things.
Well, okay, if it's getting dark and it's midday, that doesn't seem natural.
We need
Unless it's like just getting cloudy. But it doesn't seem like that.
It is getting cloudy, but if you want to see if it's coming in naturally, you can roll a knowledge nature check.
I am not trained.
I can do it.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Now that Nomad brings that up, you look back at the clouds
Nope, that was
and
ability, but it
they're
still worked.
you look back at the clouds and it dawns on you with the speed that the clouds are moving in and how dark they look, the humidity isn't rising like you would expect if there was a rainstorm coming in, and really it's not that windy to make the clouds moving that quickly make sense.
Well, this is obviously magic. Can I do a spellcraft check or an arcana check to see if I know what this is?
I'm going to say with that same check, you would know that there are spells that can manipulate weather. And more than likely, that is what is happening now, because...
So there's someone nearby who can see us who's casting the spell.
You do know that sometimes the range of such spells can be miles, or even tens or hundreds of miles, but whatever is happening is certainly impacting where you are at a very drastic rate.
Know which way it's coming from, or is it just
The
affecting
clouds are
the area?
coming from the south. And the light is failing fast. And you are all able to tell this now.
We were heading south, right? That was our...
Yes.
Okay.
I don't
Could
think
we...
that
Go ahead.
I don't think that we can slay this creature without knowing our enemy, having the resource. Well, I suppose we do, but we know it's big, colossally, but how big, how formidable? I don't think that we're slaying this thing today. I want to try to observe it, but slay it, that may not be happening right now. These people, I think they need to figure out whether they're going to stay right here, back into this pit that they've been in, or to head east the way that we came, or northeast where we just came from. I think that they'll be safe if they took that way, but they can't be our responsibility.
Somebody give me a perception check.
Real quick,
Yeah, yeah.
could we just show them on the map the path that we took?
Yes, you
And
can.
just let them know that, like, this, at least for now, for the past few hours, we were able to get through unmolested. And if that they followed that path, they would, have a good chance of making it back to Barroway in peace.
The grandfather asks you to help them gather some of the supplies from down in the cellar so that they can begin making that journey.
I will start doing that then.
Okay.
I
Somebody
will help.
somebody give me a perception check. Someone who is not help. Oh, Malith, you already did. Okay. So everybody else is
Edward does a perception check. I'm going to hand them my spyglass.
Okay.
Because I'm going to help the family gather supplies.
So everybody's kind of.
the bonus for the spyglass.
So here's how this happens. Most everyone is helping bring up supplies. Malith, you notice something on the southern horizon as the light is beginning to fail, and you ask Gabriel for his spyglass. He hands it to you, and as you pull it up, you see dozens of figures moving towards you quickly. And you see 3 of them, figures that dissipate and then reappear much further ahead of everyone else. Something that vampires are prone to do as they take a gaseous form as they move sometimes.
I would definitely be relaying this information.
We should leave their stuff in the pit and either prepare to fight or leave and tell them to run.
We need to go now.
So there's like an entire misty wave of vampires.
There are vampires among them, at least, though at the moment it's hard to actually. Go ahead and make another perception check, Malith.
Okay.
And would it be safe to assume that, looking at the weather and looking at the vampires, we can figure that the vampires are controlling that weather?
If you want to assume that.
I would make that assumption because it's dark and vampires don't like light.
Malith, you see 3 figures that are most likely vampires that are kind of staying ahead of the pack, though the rest you can make out some skeletons among them, and as for the rest, you're not totally sure. But there's probably, if you had to get, with your check, you can count. Let me actually count. There's about 40 figures coming towards you. They all appear to be medium-sized. There are none that are any larger than that.
I would also relay that information.
At the moment, they're probably about 1,000 feet away, give or take.
Are we even going to be able to outrun them in time?
I don't think we could.
Did
Our
you?
best bet might be to just hide in the cellar.
That's a good idea.
That.
Well, I don't know. Vampires
Problem
are
with
very
that-
deceptive.
They are, and we could be tracking.
Have you pointed out while the family is kind of helping get the supplies out? Have you pointed out the oncoming enemies to them yet?
I don't want to cause undue panic, so no.
Okay, all right. They're
need to
currently
figure
just
out
getting all the
things.
supplies out. They're helping each other to hand them up.
How can we tell how fast the wave is approaching?
They're running. They're closing in on you. You probably have 3 or 4 minutes before they reach you at the current pace.
Well, there's no way. Because they can just sprint indefinitely. But if you're not undead, you can't just sprint indefinitely. We're eventually just going to lose that race. Those who are not undead among us. So, I think we just need to try to hide and wait. Because, I don't know, I don't think that... how close are we to the cap?
It is not. You're probably still a few days journey from there.
Okay, yeah, no, then we have nowhere to even run.
So we need to hide. Does anyone
Yeah.
have?
You're about an hour and a half away from the mountains at this point, from where you were when you were in the mountains still. So yeah.
Does anyone have a spell that can help us hide from
Naturally
undead?
dead. Yes, I can do that. I can definitely do that.
How
Okay,
many
well,
times can you cast it per day, and how many people does it affect each time?
I don't know. I don't have that
Oh,
information.
yes. Okay.
I think
So-
I might hide it as well.
Okay.
If two of us have it, we can get everybody.
Don't cast it on me. My ring functions as that spell, so.
I do think we should prioritize the safety of this family. I don't think they could defend against vampires like we could.
I'm not sure
We
we
don't
can
want to leave
defend
them
against these
trapped.
vampires.
I mean, that's fair, but we signed up to fight undead. They did.
We don't
That's true.
want any more zombies or possibly even vampires spawn out of this situation. Keeping them alive is in our best interest.
Okay. So
Okay,
hide.
so
Go ahead.
we should start getting the supplies back in and hide back in the cellar.
Yeah, I'll let them know, and I'll just say something might be coming out there.
So
Let's put the supplies back in
in
for now and hunker down.
Gabriel, you know that regular undead will be automatically affected. Intelligent undead, though, will get a saving throw.
Do you
You also go ahead. Actually, I'm gonna have you. Can somebody make a wisdom check?
my wisdom's not the best.
I'm pretty wise on
Neither
the
is
wisdom
mine.
check.
Great. Okay.
Oh.
Can we stop with the nat 2s tonight? That's the third one.
Hestia, as you consider the option, if there are vampires among them, then there's at least some intelligent undead. And if there's enough intelligent undead there, chances are at least one would make the save if you just hunker down and stay put. All of you, at least.
I think staying put is a bad idea because if there's vampires in our zone, they're gonna. One of them is going to find us out.
I mean, where else are we supposed to go? Can we run like
Well,
to
what
the
if
east
we-
and avoid the wave?
What if we distract our way from the villagers?
You're right. No, Hestia's right. If we distract them enough, we can go fast enough, at least for a while, to outrun the slow run dead with those vampires. We're eventually going to have an altercation with them unless we find
Mhm.
some means of hiding.
You could still cast the spell
How
on the
many?
villagers and then cause the distraction.
Well,
Also,
how
I
many
do not have
vampires
hide
are there?
from undead.
I mean, you can see 3 vampires, but as for the rest of them, how many of them are intelligent and would have the possibility of seeing through the spell, you don't know. And all it takes is one to alert the others.
3 vampires, you said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a chance that the undead will walk past and the vampires will stay, or does it look like the vampires are in?
They are all coming towards you.
I don't really know how we get the vampires away from them. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Personally, I don't see the logical reason why the vampires would have any need to divert and not bring all the other undead with them. And that just wouldn't make any sense to me. I think
No,
if
they
we're
would-
going to cause any kind of a diversion, we're going to have to pull the entire group and then just try to run.
That's
that
what I was
point.
saying, but the vampires are quicker than the other undead.
Are they not staying with the mindless?
They're,
undead?
they're
Are they, like,
staying
clearly
mostly
ahead?
with. They're a little bit ahead, but they're not like supremely closer. At this
Okay.
point, you've probably
Yeah, in
got
my
another
opinion,
2
that's-
minutes before they get to you.
All right. And in my opinion, that's not good enough. I'm not gonna. Like that fight is gonna last a bit long. I think, like midway through that fight with the vampires, all the other mindless undead would catch up with them, and then it would be a guaranteed defeat.
Should I cast Obscuring Mist after one of the vampires sees us and somebody leads them away?
All right, quick question.
Yes.
Do I know that vampires are they resistant to bluff or anything like that?
Intelligent undead are people. I mean, they might have a higher sense motive, but they're not
Okay.
resistant to bluff per se.
All of you should get underground, and I am going to stay up here, and I am going to try
What?
to them.
I don't know about that, Prince. If you fail, you are dead, and there will
I
be
know.
nothing that we can do.
I know, but I think I know their master.
I don't think it's a good idea.
What?
DM, I got a question for you.
Yes.
I don't know exactly what roll I need to make, and well, I can't roll, so I might need to have to make that roll.
Mhm.
But I know that vampires can't cross running water, so I don't know if I need to roll to for Gabriel to know that, and if that's the case, was there a creek or a river or
There is
something
a
that we
spring.
passed by?
Spring, he mentioned.
There's a
Yes,
spring, but it
there's-
is, yeah, it's not like elongated, but there is a spring itself.
Okay. If I can
Yes,
relate
you.
that to the
Yeah.
party, like,
Okay.
yeah,
Is there
it's
any
gonna
way
be like running water. If we can get behind running water, we'll be fine.
Sure. I mean, however, if it's a long enough stream of running water, yes. But okay, let's. I suppose we should ask them. We're running out of time.
Yeah, we
How
gotta
far away
get.
is the spring?
It's
Sorry, go ahead.
it's next to one of the buildings. It's slightly covered in rubble, but you could get to it at least, and probably uncover it. It's only enough to sustain a small group of families, about 20 to 30 people.
Well, okay, no. The real issue is all of those mindless undead. We could probably take care of those vampires.
By the
Never mind,
way,
I don't
for those
believe
of
in the
you
issue.
at this point, they're about 400 or 500 feet away, which is fireball range. In case any of you have that, just
I mean, I do
just so
have
that you're
that.
aware.
I could fireball them.
Hey guys, out of game real quick.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, but my time has run out for tonight.
Yeah. Do you want to cast the
Please,
hide from undead spell on anyone?
I will let you guys use that at your discretion. Um, I will follow Nomad.
Okay.
I am saying that Gabriel will follow Nomad's lead on this, and yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. I will
Thank
be here the entire time next week.
Sweet.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Okay.
Good night, guys.
Thanks, Enrique. Take care. Have fun at your thing.
the fireball
Thanks.
might give us some time.
I
Okay.
mean, if y'all want me to cast it, I can.
We
Again, I'm on the priority.
we have moments before I'm going to have you guys roll initiative. So if you want to do something pre-initiative, now's the time.
Cast the hide
Okay,
on
I'll
the
do it.
family,
Okay.
and then we should all hide inside of the cellar. I actually think we should go with Prince's plan. I think that, although bold as it is going to be our best shot.
Okay.
Do you really
Should
think
I
the
cast
cellar is a good
Obscuring
idea?
Mist?
I mean,
Okay,
you
can
could get
we go
trapped
to
in
the
that cellar.
when we go to the spring? Is there something we can still hide behind?
No,
Hide.
the spring is just in the ground. It's not a large. It's not a structure or anything.
Okay, then I would hide. I would hide, and I'll talk to them.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, let's
All right.
hide.
And
I'll have
Hestia,
Gabriel
you could
cast it.
put obscuring mist down in there, and then that would at least obscure any vision if someone were to come down there. It would just be dusty and smoky.
And yeah, I don't like the idea of hiding in the cellar. But I mean, just in light of better options, they guaranteed see us, and then those mindless undead can come attack us. Like vampires can't, but if they've got like a bunch of zombies in that, so
Okay.
I'm just weighing the options.
Okay.
But I
Jasper.
think that's best.
All right. You
Jasper
quickly.
leaves behind his horse.
Okay. Yeah, cast.
Do you leave behind, or can you dismiss it?
I can dismiss it, but
You're not going to. Okay, what did you say, Hestia?
What?
What?
I'm gonna say
Jasper?
cast obscuring mist into the
Okay.
cellar.
All right. So
I feel like it adds to the image of you just being there all alone.
Okay,
right?
alright,
It's true. It's true. Get on this horse. Get on this horse. There we go. There we go.
okay.
I'll get on this horse.
Yes.
So
And
Okay.
can I
we
cast
hide.
spark
We hide
skin
with the
on
you cast obscuring mist, and all of you go back into the cellar and you pull some of the rubble over top of it, and then the mist is in there.
Cast
Go-
fireball first.
You would?
No.
No,
Those
I thought you said you
Please
wanted.
don't. Please don't.
That will definitely change how this plays out.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody goes into the mist, and then Jasper, not Jasper, Prince, you mount Jasper's horse, and you stride out of the mist, and then as the roof goes back over, or the rubble goes back over the thing, then the mist kind of dissipates, and all that's left is you. Everyone else has protect, or has what's it called? Hide from undead cast on them. Prince, as you step forward, the you see the vampires come close, and they slow down from the run, and following their lead the rest of the undead, and at this point you can count, you're able to count out about 41 undead. Among them are skeletons, zombies. Several skeletons are a bit larger than the others. You notice, actually give me a knowledge religion check.
Okay.
You don't have the familiarity with undead that everyone else does, so let's see how much you know. Okay, you recognize the following in the group. You notice 6 larger skeletons, 12 small skeletons, 3 vampires, 4 wights, and 16 zombies of varying size and armaments. The vampires are obviously the head of the pack, and as they reach you, you see a little bit of confusion on their face. Teeth bared, one of them steps forward.
Okay, out of character really quick.
Yes.
I need to look at the prompt really quick. Just
Yes.
give me a second.
Yep. Actually, give me an intelligence check first to see if you remember the thing that you're going to look up. We need to see if you're able to recall that information
Jagger
first.
does this, and it makes or breaks the session in the best way possible.
So just a regular intelligence check?
Make an intelligence check. If you make it, then I will pause and I will let you look up the thing that you're looking up. If not, then we are going.
Or if you roll nat 1, then he tells you what you think. It's the
We are
best.
going. The vampires reach you. The one steps forward, and he looks at you oddly. Where are the others? We saw you with others. Are you alone?
Yes, I am currently alone. I saw them go east. They saw you approach.
Make a bluff check. And keep in mind, they were close enough to see everyone mere moments ago. And then
Mere moments ago?
yeah, just I mean, you were able to see them, they were able to see you. You
okay, I didn't know how much they saw
yeah.
of us. I thought we were like in a crevice or
Well,
something.
you were kind of all gathered around the rubble, and then the smoke comes up, and then you come out of the smoke.
Okay, hold on.
Yep. Yeah, take your moment. I'm not going to penalize you for having forgotten that, so don't worry about that. Your character would have known that. If you want to restate what you said.
Okay.
So you emerged from the smoke that was replacing your companions moments ago.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is where I'm going to say that there were people here, but they teleported away. I had convinced them of Pietro's plan to make this world into an immortal landscape. And as you can see, I am immortal like you.
Give me a bluff check.
25.
Confusion pops up on the face of the vampire in front of you. You serve Pietro?
Yes, I do.
I don't recognize your face. Something seems off about you. I can't quite place it.
Well,
And real quick, give me a sense motive check.
since
Yep.
I'm going to use the versatile.
Do you have versatile for that one as well? Nice.
Yes, I do.
I guess you have. What are the two that you have for versatile
I
performance?
have all three of the bluff, sense motive, and what was the other one? Diplomacy. I do not have intimidate.
Okay. All right. So as you are looking at him, you can see he's definitely taken off guard, but the aggression is gone from his eyes, at least a little bit. So go
Okay.
ahead with it with your response to him saying, "You serve Pietro."
I don't necessarily serve Pietro. Pietro has found me, and he was very perplexed by my physique and my immortality. He wanted me to join him, but when I first came to this plane, I was a bit confused. But I'm starting to understand his goals and what he wants to accomplish in this land, and I've decided that this is something that I would agree to.
And you sent the others away. Tell me, stranger, who were they?
They are simple peasants that have been crushed by a worm that doesn't seem to be directed by your group. It is just tearing through the countryside, destroying potential people who could become immortal like you. Instead of converting them to your cause, this worm is just destroying everything. And I don't think that that is what Pietro would want.
Your ignorance shows. I suppose Pietro didn't tell you everything.
No, he didn't. He just told me that my immortality was something that he appreciated. His lady companion, I forget her name, I was only around her briefly, um, explained to me in some minor detail what your group was planning to do to this world. And I've seen your handiwork. I have come by villages on the way to the capital where all the undead are being pulled to, and I saw the handiwork of a village that looks like a museum, a triumph to his work.
You see the work of Alexander. He is a peculiar one.
I am not familiar with Alexander, but
Hmm.
it seems that his vision for immortality, at least with this one village, is quite impressive, although a bit crude. The undead there were mindless. I didn't touch his creation. If you would wish to go see
I have
how much
seen
I
many.
respect the work,
I have seen many of his exhibits. He
what do you
is.
think about them?
He considers himself an auteur, an artist of the sort, obsessed with history. That one, a true zealot of Zelkia. At least, that's what he would tell you. I find his work to be interesting, wasteful at times, but harmless.
Yeah, those could be potential vampires.
It is. The gift that we have is not one that we would give to everyone who would desire it. No,
I
the blessing of our blood is one reserved for only the most worthy. Alexander himself was offered this gift, but no, he prefers his mortality. He wants a different sort of immortality, to be remembered. What good is it to be remembered if you can live forever? Am I right?
I agree. I'm immortal too, and I'm from Zelkia myself, or at least I
So,
believe to be from Zelkia.
so you keep saying. But no, it is good that you did not disturb Alexander's work. He does not take kindly to those who destroy his work. His art is precious to him. If you
I
come
did not
across
destroy it.
if you come across any others, you would do well to keep the same attitude.
And I have some questions for you. Why are you riding so fast over here? What is your goal for this area? What are your orders from Pietro?
We come not from Pietro at this time, but from the Lich.
Rich.
He
I
sent us in pursuit of a group intent on thwarting our work. This group that you apparently were with.
well, I don't know if they're trying to thwart your work, but I do know that they seemed interested in gaining the immortality that I have to offer, which might even be superior to vampiric immortality.
Shots
He
fired.
bares his teeth as you
I
say
mean
that.
no ill will. I mean no ill will. I only mean that I have gone to other planes and back. I have suffered Pharasma's torment and survived. Can you say that that is something that a vampire could do? And it is something available for vampires as well.
In a flash, he leaps towards you and lands atop the horse right in front of you, crouching almost like a cat. The horse stumbles for a moment and then catches itself. And I'm gonna have you make a ride check right now. As it
I
as
have
it
nothing.
Yep,
I'm going
let's
to
see what you
fall.
got.
Hold on. Right. Can that be done untrained? Oh wow.
Yes, it
All I have
can, I believe.
I wish I was 2 more levels higher. I would have my acrobatics, but oh wow.
Okay, with a nat 1 on ride. So as he leaps up and he lands on the horse bucks and you fall off unceremoniously. And as the horse lays back down, it begins to try and bolt, and the vampire reaches down with its hands and sticks it right in the horse's throat. And the horse, neighs and screams and kind of collapses. And the vampire comes down with it while maintaining his balance on top of it the whole time. Though after the horse lays for a moment, it dissipates, it disappears, being a summoned horse. And the vampire is visibly shocked, regains his footing, and stands up looking over you. And he, looking down at you, on your back on the ground, he says, "You consider yourself superior to us,
No.
but I find you to be lacking. You may be a friend of Pietro, but watch that you do not create enemies. The Zelkier to come will be the home of the undead. It will be our domain. And there at the top, us vampires will reign. You will do well to maintain respect for your betters. In the world that is to come, the immortal Zelkier, the Zelkier that will never fall again, you may have a part, your quasi-mortal self, but you are not destined to be the leader, to be the top. Pietro may have not have given you that much information, but I will tell you now. Do not cross those who are above you. You may find the results to be bloody disgusting." And with that, he licks the blood off of his fingertips from the horse.
Well, I would like to um, apologize to him. I'll I'll say, I did not catch your name, but I was not saying that I was superior to you, only that vampires are susceptible to such things as sunlight, and I am not
Such
limited.
issues will be remedied in due time. It is a balance of nature, I guess you could say. It would do no good to have perfect beings, at least not so far as nature is concerned, which is why we must surpass nature, become more than it, more than the creators or the gods would ever allow us to be.
Well, I think that we, at the very least, should become allies. I cannot join you in your pursuits right now, and I do wish to meet Pietro at some point or another. But I would like for us to at least be amenable. I am not against allying with vampires. I am a mortal myself. Um, and I will try to do a diplomacy check with this as
Yeah,
well.
go ahead. He sneers at you as you say this, by the way. You may have a place in our society, or you may not. Time will tell. But when Zelkior rises from its own ashes, it will be a new place. A place that will last for the eternities. As for my name, I'm Salazar. You may not have heard of me, or you may have. Hmm.
Well, Salazar, the creature that crushed this village that we are at, I was one question before we should depart ways. Um, you said that I did not understand the purpose of such a creature. Um, just so I do not get crushed by it, is there something you could tell me about the purpose of such a creature?
It is a hunter.
What is it hunting?
Those you spoke to.
Oh, you did tell me that. Okay. Well, thank you. Um, I
It
am going.
follows, and it goes where it is bidden to go.
Is it being commanded?
Hmm. One could surmise as much. Stay out of its way, and stay away from any adventuring types that you may stumble across, and you won't have to feel its wrath. It can sense the living, you know. It knows if they are near, and it
Can I do
hungers
a
for
knowledge check
them.
to see if I know that that would hunt down like I'm a extra planar being, so would I know that that would come after me
Go
as
ahead
well?
and roll a knowledge planes check.
Okay. Well, I'm a native. I'm a native. What am I? A native.
Nat 20, okay. So you know that you sort of inhabit this quasi mortal place. Now, I'm trying to remember, do you bleed normal blood? Or does it
I
say anything
bleed
about that?
no. As far as I know, I am a outsider, native outsider,
Hmm.
and I'm kind of a construct, but I kind of
Yeah,
have a.
so you
I don't
you
know.
are
It's
this
weird.
weird middle ground where, for example, you can tell, and this has been obvious to you up until now, that the vampires aren't rearing to get you, for example. That there is something different about you. Exactly what that means, you're not sure, but you know, being what you are, and who you are. Sorry, is this train making it too hard for you guys to
No,
hear?
I can hear it.
Okay,
I can.
okay, good.
We're good.
So, knowing what you are, you kind of fit this quasi mortal place where you are technically mortal in that you can die, but you do not age. There's a lot of ways that you are immortal, and that puts you in a weird place when it comes to the undead. The
I can't be
you're
turned either.
you can't be turned. You're not undead, but you're not quite living either. And so that's where, at least from what you can tell, that's why at least the intelligent undead don't seem to be at least initially hostile to you.
Well, they couldn't turn me if they wanted to. But okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to. Do I know that this creature's going to come after me? Because what I want to tell him is that I don't think the creature's going to. I'm going to worry about the creature.
You're telling him that you will be worried about it?
No, that I won't be because I don't know if
Yeah.
he will chase me.
And he says to you, stay away from any adventurers that you see, and you'll be safe from it. And stay out of its way if it comes near you. It has its targets. It is sent to destroy any who cling to the life that Zelkir once offered them, and who refuse to be beckoned into its new state. And it seeks to hunt those who would undo our work, as bidden by its master.
I recognize the supremacy of vampires. I have no qualms with you being superior in this world. But I too am trying to convert people, as you do, to an immortal cause for in the name of Zelkir. I am almost, if not entirely, convinced by Pietro. So, would if you know who commands this beast, can you at least allow me to do my work? To some degree. Yes, it can roam the countryside, but is it possible that you could direct it somewhere other? Should I bluff? I mean, all that's
Go ahead and roll a sense motive check.
okay.
You can see his patience wearing thin as he begins to become a little bit more angry. Not aggressive yet, but more angry. You rise above your station. You may find yourself welcome among us, but you are not truly one of us. You do not have the power to command us. No, there will be those even who think you do not belong here, much as you may fit. You are tolerated here, and you will see it as such. You will not deign to command me or my masters. Otherwise, I may try a little snack and see if your blood really does taste as foul as it smells.
Okay. Well, I will take your grace. I will take the reprieve that you have given me, um, and I will go about my way. Last question before I go.
Make it quick.
Do you know the status of the capital? I was thinking about going there, and there seems to be some necromancy in the air. Do you know what is afoot? Should I even bother going to the capital?
If you wish to see Pietro, then that is where you may find him. The capital is quite under control. As for the spice in the air that you speak of, I know not from whence it comes, but it is a welcome scent.
Okay, it does nothing for me, but I will.
So it wouldn't. One such as you, as I said, you are tolerated here, both by the land and by its true inhabitants, its rightful inhabitants.
Well, if you'd like to catch the adventurers, although I will tell you, I have convinced them of joining the immortal Zelkir. But if you wish to find them, you should head east as fast as possible.
My master will know how to find them. He knows where they are.
Is that so? Okay. So, I don't know how to get him to leave. Not a character.
By the way, this is filming.
Just take care of you well.
Just so you know.
I will.
You're
I
welfare
will
maiden.
start to walk towards the capital in the direction of the capital.
The vampires step forward and stand. So you had been kind of on the ground for the last little bit of that. He
Oh, I didn't know
watches
still
you.
there.
Yeah, he watches you get up and begin making your way towards the capital. And then he and the other two vampires disappear in a puff of smoke, and it's hard in the lack of light to make out exactly where they are, but you can see as they begin moving south as well, and the rest of the undead turn and follow them as well.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna keep walking.
Ah, okay. All right. After a moment, they're all making a much faster pace. Sorry, 1 second.
Well done, Prince.
Well done.
Well, I've met this.
That
Sort of.
this person you haven't met before.
Oh, well, not him. I've met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you did fail your knowledge check, so perhaps you think that.
Well, I remember. What's her face, and she told me about him. I don't remember her
That's
name. I
not
wish
the
I
same
did.
as meeting someone.
She told me about him, so. I
That's
saw
totally
it.
the same as meeting someone. But anyway,
My memory was also extraordinarily foggy when I
that's
went
very
back
true.
to
And that's
this.
why I said maybe you just totally forgot who it was that you met and who it was that you heard about. It's quite possible. So, all right, from there, they after not too long, they disappear from sight, heading in the direction of the capital.
Are they close enough to do like a spellcraft check on me?
No, they. I mean, at this
Are-
point, they're probably close to a half mile or more away.
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
I mean,
I'm going
they're
to
going
mess-
fast.
Okay, I'm going to message to Nomad. Could they hear me outside?
Everybody else could hear the entire conversation.
Good. Okay, don't have to do a message. If they're far enough away, like
Yeah,
I'm
all of
gonna
this was
try-
happening like 5 or 10 feet, if that, away from the what's it called? From the cellar.
Okay. Do I know? Can I do a perception? I don't want them to come back and just murder me for a lie for walking back to this place. So, is there any way I can turn around quickly and?
You're not
see
making your
what-
way very quickly, so they're very much almost out of sight, especially with how the light is fading.
Okay. Well then.
And at this point, it's like almost twilight as far as the lighting is concerned. There are thick
So the
clouds
lighting
above.
is coming back.
No, it's thick twilight. Like there's very little light, and you can there's pretty much no rays of sunlight coming through, but there's enough lighting that there's a little bit of ambient light. It's like if it's a overcast, bright moon, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like yeah. It looks like a cloudy night right now.
So, how convinced is my character that these guys are gone and can't see me?
100%.
You gotta decide.
Okay. All right. Then I'm gonna go back to them. I'm gonna.
I mean,
Send a
from what
message
you
out.
can see, they're not watching you at all.
All right. Well, I'm gonna whisper a conversation to Nomad, telling him.
Just have the conversation.
Okay, I'll just tell him.
Yep.
Nomad, it appears that these vampires and undead have left. I'm still a bit terrified, but if you wish to start coming out, it seems like you guys have enough provisions to stay down there if you want to be sure, but it seems safe. In message.
I mean, the message lasts for minutes, so you don't have to end message. You just
Okay, well there you go.
talk.
How sure are you, Prince?
I'm according. I'm 100% sure.
That they can't see you and that they're not watching
Right.
you.
I have a suggestion first. Why don't I go out first so that if they are still watching, they don't see a whole group of us. They see him with some other undead person.
Yes.
And after a couple minutes, maybe the rest of you should come out.
That sounds great.
Okay.
I like that.
Because I won't be seen as an adventuring party or something.
Okay.
So I would go on out first and kind of also look around to make sure it doesn't look like they'd be watching or anything.
I'm so glad you didn't pass that fireball, Maywood.
That would have changed this entire interaction.
Me too.
Fireball, duck under
I thought
cover.
that was the plan. I'm just glad they did not decide to investigate where we were at. I kind of wish I'd stayed out here with you.
Leon
Trying to
would
get
have cast the
information.
fireball.
If you would have said something and couldn't back it up with a bluff, I think we might have been screwed.
Oh, still, it's good to confirm that Pietro is the one heading all this.
And Salazar apparently is a footman. Or
I'm
at least
sorry,
a
who is
lieutenant.
Pietro
Can I
exactly?
roll?
Are you having this conversation just like in game right now?
Yes, I'm counting that all as you guys actually talking. Nothing that has just been said was
Yes, I
out
was
of
intending
out of
it.
character.
Yes, I would have said that about Pietro. Also, can I roll to see if I know much about the Salazar dude they reference?
Yeah,
Or the
go ahead.
vampire?
Trying to think if you would even know. I don't think you would know.
Oh, okay.
I don't think any of you would have any way to know Salazar.
Okay.
Taggart.
Yes.
You can.
Oh, are you the one who sent me a message? I haven't checked it.
Just because it's something that should just be in my backstory, so I should be able to reference it like whatever. But I guess I kind of that's one of the things I left to you.
Okay, the answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
All right. Dang. Okay.
We are safe. We are safe.
I'm pretty sure. Let me double check what you wrote and that I didn't misread it.
Oh. Okay.
Yes. Yes. The answer is yes.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
What just happened? That sounded like you were enjoying yourself too much.
That was an out of character. Yes, I was. I was enjoying myself too much. Thank you for noticing. I'm a little sheepish. So. Melee. Oh.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Sorry. Well, I guess so. This is Jake speaking, but I guess
this is out of character.
Actually, the three who are down there with me roll perception checks. I guess. If that's okay.
Can't wait to roll into 10.
Actually, hold on. I need to do a bit of a retcon. I went a little bit too on the cuff. Let me double check something really quick. So I'm gonna change the name of that vampire from Salazar. Okay, let me.
Salazar.
I think so. Let me send someone a message.
So, guys, it sounds like going to the capital is a bad idea.
Why?
Nomad,
Because
I sent you a
the
message.
conversation,
If you could
I
respond
assume.
to that. Okay, there you go.
just landed here. I can talk my way around a Salazar vampire. What's his name?
Give me 1 second.
I can talk my way around a vampire.
Oh, we may need to pause.
Yeah, pause for just a second.
Okay.
I'm excited for the conversation we're having, like outside of the cellar. I think it's starting to get juicy, but
Me too. That's why I was about to ask if Nobad had asked about Pietro in game, but then I was like, wait, he's not even in the same area as me to ask. So
But yes, it does help that I'm immune to undeath and immortal. Oh, that was out of character.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So his name was not Salazar. His name was Hellbrim. Other than that, Hellbrim.
Hellbrim. I'm gonna start
Okay.
putting stuff in the notes.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's. I mean, Fantasy Grounds has a lot of stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, so he gave his name was Hellbrim. My apologies on that. I was a little too fast on the draw and realized afterwards that I should have said something different. But that will not change what happened. Just that his name was Hellbrim. And like I said, everybody in the cellar would have been able to overhear.
I'm not gonna make you roll checks. You'll notice that Jasper's he's got some mixed emotions on his face. Wow. As the conversation's going.
Okay, there, so that you guys can know how to say it properly. Or how it would have been said. Hellbrim was the name of the vampire.
Oh, wow. This is so cool. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. You guys can carry on with your roleplay now. If you want to ask any questions, Prince, if you want to ask any questions about anything else that you saw in that time, I will let you make a perception check, and then I can give you any descriptions that you would like.
Sure. Yes.
Just because it didn't kind of fit with the flow of everything that was going on to do that, so we can kind of do it a little bit retroactively right now.
Okay. How do I save it? Is it automatically saved?
The note?
Yeah, I think I made
Yeah,
some
you made several, and then you published 2 of them. Do you want me to delete the ones that are extra?
I'm sorry.
I mean, you can publish the notes or not. That just makes it so that other people can see it.
Many of them either.
That's
And I
fine.
think I lost my character sheet too, somehow.
How do you even post those publicly?
I didn't
know
need
that's a
to.
thing.
If you make a note and then you pull it up and then you right click on it, you can hit share.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
do
okay,
that.
cool.
I did not do that.
Or maybe
That's neat.
no,
There's
a public
thing
button.
that you
That's what
can
it
select.
is.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Okay,
okay.
I don't even know how to get back to it. Oh, there it is. Okay, well, I'm gonna make it.
Yeah, the share just makes it public, not public.
Okay. Now I can't get to my character sheet. I don't know why.
Double click on your face up in the top left.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you. All right, sorry.
Yep,
I'm
that'll
getting
bring
to
it.
this.
You're good.
Okay, so perception check. Sorry, I'm getting to it. Sorry for wasting time. Perception.
It's somewhere in there.
Oh, there it is. I got
Go
it.
to the
Sorry.
P section. Yeah. Okay, with the 24, we're going to have an AMA. And whatever questions you want to ask, some of them may be an answer if you didn't catch that, but go ahead and ask me any questions you want from that encounter.
So I know how many undead were there. I know that there were 2 vampires, right?
3 vampires.
3 vampires.
One who took the lead, Hellbrim, and then the other 2 who stayed back a little bit. And I guess for descriptions, the
male, female.
None that you recognized. Hellbrim was a tiefling. you noticed he was missing an eye, and then the other two vampires, one appeared to be one was an elf and one was human.
Are there any symbols of any gods?
None that you recall seeing. There were none that caught your eye.
Are based on my character's backstory and the fact that they are residents of Zelkir, assuming that they've been immortal, do I recognize any of them?
You do not.
Okay. I guess that's. I mean, I can't think of anything else to ask except for. Hold on. No, I can't think of anything else to ask. Sorry, guys, I'm failing.
No, that's
How
all right.
about this? I can give you. Wait, I can't say. I'm not gonna say that. Is Nomad and them out of the cellar yet? Are you doing the
Good question.
and all that other stuff?
What was the perception check with Jasper about?
I don't know. Ask Jasper.
No. I decided that not to and then I just described it a little bit to see if it like peeked over at me. Just a lot of mixed emotions.
I'm going to ask Nomad if there's or anyone here. Did any of you guys want to see what these guys look like? And
How many is that? Was that a first level spell or a second level spell? I'm trying to remember.
Well, I've only used one spell today.
Oh, that's right.
And I think it is a second level spell, and I think I have like 4 of those.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I may even have 5 because I have a high charisma, so I get.
That's right.
There were 3 vampires you saw. What did you see? Like,
How many people can you share the memory with?
Let me check. This is why I have it, because being the face of a party means that I'm going to see stuff that people don't see.
One creature touched.
One creature touched. That's why I'm asking, do any of you guys have any interest? You guys heard the conversation. Do any of you guys have an interest in seeing what these guys look like or gathering any information?
I do.
What are the other two?
Hestia.
Okay. There were 3 vampires. There was one named Hellbrim. None of them seemed to be female.
One of them was female. There was a female human vampire and then a male elf.
Describe the
that's up to the DM.
Good
I
question.
did see them, and I did a perception
Male,
check. I just don't
female,
know what to ask.
adult, child.
Actually, 1 second. Before I stick my foot in my mouth, let me consult my notes before I give any more details.
Well,
So
I
many
am
things.
going to, since Hestia spoke up, I am going to share the memory with her. That's okay?
Son.
Yes.
Alright, it's only going to be a minute. I'm going to ask beforehand, what part of the conversation would you like to see? Would you like to see me on the ground with staring up at a vampire? Would you like to see him jumping at me?
I really want to see who these people look like.
Okay, so before he jumped on top of me, I'm going to give you a profile, a 1-minute profile of the conversation of them standing in front of me before he jumps in front of me. I'm going to go ahead and touch. I'm going to. How do I cast this? I think that. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's out of character.
No, that was incorrect. You were enjoying casting that spell way too much.
There we go.
Okay. All right. So, what is it that you're wanting to learn from that you wouldn't have already gotten from hearing Hestia?
I want to just see what everybody looks like. That's all I want.
Okay.
So I can roll for it better later.
Okay. So, for the sake of circumstance, actually, give me 1 moment, Jake. I'm gonna send you a message really quick.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
So, for the sake of circumstance, I would ask that those who have more specific reason to want to see the memory beyond just hearing it, um, be the ones if they're wanting to ask. So, I guess what I'm saying, if you don't have any particular reason to recognize or know anyone, there's nothing really to gain from us having you share your memory, at least for the sake of role playing right now. Um, so the female vampire was human, the male was elf, or however you want to say that. The elf was male, the human was female, and then the one that was out front was a tiefling. Um, yeah. So, okay, Prince, you offer. Who would like to see the memory and share that?
anybody?
Yes, I would. Malith has an interest in this memory and stuff because she would want to know if she recognized any of the vampire.
You are cutting out like a pair of scissors going down a wrapping paper on Christmas morning.
Also,
Yeah,
I
that's because
looked it
my
up.
AirPods went out.
I've got 6 spells of second level today.
Oh, so you have 5 left.
Today
Yes.
is a good day.
So I mean, technically, if you wanted to blow all of them, you could just show it to everybody.
I do not want to blow all of it. If someone has an interest after, if someone has an interest in seeing the memory of the encounter, whether you want to experience it or see if you recognize anyone. Okay.
I personally know Elton, and I'm well aware of what he looks like, so I should not be the one that they
Okay.
blow.
Well, I'm going to touch Malith, and she can do all the perception and all that stuff. Knowledge check she wants.
All right. So Malith, as you see whatever portion of the memory he shows you, I mean, it's as far as the visuals, it's going to be mostly the same throughout it. Like maybe a little bit different for effect, but you don't recognize the woman, and you don't recognize the tiefling. The elf man looks familiar, though you can't place it. It's not someone that you know particularly, but you've had a number of encounters with vampires in the past, and you're fairly certain that he is one as you were hunting down. I can't remember what you've told the rest of the party about your backstory, so I'm going to be vague. As you've been hunting down certain people, he's one that you've encountered previously. You're fairly certain.
Okay.
I
Yeah, it's a little bit. I'm sorry your AirPods went out.
Were you able to hear me, Malith?
History function up a minute. There was one point you cut out towards the end there, like the
So,
last 2 sentences.
so
you said.
in your time hunting down the person who you've been trying to hunt down, you have run into this vampire before, the elf male, the male elf. I can't remember the. However, you would sequence those two descriptors. You've run into him before. You don't know his name, and you know that when you encountered him before, he got away. But you know that he is at least associated with the person that you've been hunting.
Good to know. That's what I wanted.
So perhaps it was a good thing that you weren't there to be potentially recognized.
I would
Yes,
say
it
that.
sounds like it.
Wait, is she saying this out loud? No. She's just experiencing it?
Yep, she's experiencing it.
Okay.
Yes. You might see my face expression turns into like a bit of a quizzical look slash frown almost, but I wouldn't have said anything.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's discuss
I would
it.
also thank you for sharing that.
You are very
Would you have given a general description of the vampires as well, Prince?
Yes. As soon as they came out, that was the first thing. I can't remember all the different details that you would know, but yes. Whatever I saw, I would express what they look like, their heights, age, in case anybody recognized them.
Okay, sorry, 1 second. I heard part of that. make sure I respond to everybody's things.
Well,
Wait.
while you guys are doing that, is there any water nearby? It's
spring.
Yeah, you'll be able to uncover the spring. I mean, the area with the spring is damp, and it's been pushing up water at least a little bit.
Okay, well, I'm gonna look for the closest container of water. I don't care about quality. I'm gonna do tears to wine on it to turn it into alcoholic beverage that gives me wisdom and stuff. Because I need a drink.
Okay.
Most hard thing I've ever heard of.
While Prince walks away to get his drink, Jasper goes up to Mela and says, they were talking about Pietro, right? That was the name of it.
Yes, they were. It does appear that he is the vampire behind a lot of this, which is what I suspected, feared, and hoped for all at once.
You know him.
I have never met him, but I've been hunting for him for a while. What about you? Why are you so curious? If you don't mind me asking.
I know him.
Know him how?
See Jasper kind of look down.
I'm sorry if he's hurt someone.
I don't know why. Is this the first time we've talked about him?
Yes, it is. It is. And again, I'm very sorry if he's someone you love. He took someone from me too.
How the crap does Prince know him?
I don't know.
Are you saying this loud enough for me to hear? I didn't go that
Yes.
far away. I'm just drinking.
Yeah.
Malith would probably look suspiciously at Prince too and say, "That's a very good question."
Know is a strong word. I would not say that I know him. I was trying to keep you alive, and it seems that you are alive. So I'm not sure.
You just picked a name. You just picked a name, and
Oh, I didn't pick a name. I have obviously
It was a
heard
common
his name.
Zelkirian name.
Well, we can go with that.
Okay,
that's a little too convenient, I think. What do you know about Pietro?
Well, I know that he is a vampire. And I know that he wants to make this world immortal. And he was very impressed by my immortality, which I might say is quite impressive.
Yeah,
So he's a friend of yours, then.
I'm sure he sees Jasper's hand is kind of trembling in his cane. He's like, I'm sure he admires it, doesn't he?
I did not ask to be immortal, so I would ask if you have any ill will towards the immortals of any sort. Please spare me. I did not choose to be this way.
We have nothing against people that are immortal, but vampires that are continuing this war in Zelkir, yes, that is a problem. Are you friends with Pietro? Are you working alongside and trying to further his goals? Or what is the nature of your relationship with him is what we're asking.
I am definitely not working with Pietro. I have never met the man. I have met one of his followers who was interested in my immortality. I don't know why. I definitely didn't know why at first. I have some idea now. But it was a matter of coincidence. I came to this plane and there she was to tell me about Pietro.
I'm going to roll a sense motive check, even though my sense motive sucks and it probably won't tell me anything.
She wouldn't do that.
Samesies.
I am
God dang it, it was almost
All right,
I am telling the
Jasper, you don't know what to make of that. So I'm gonna get in just a little bit. So Malith, as you're looking at him, Prince seems very, what's the word? Deliberate and honest in the way that he's saying this. You can tell, especially, I mean, as you could probably gather, he thinks very highly of himself and his high status as an immortal, which he won't let anybody forget. However, you do trust that he does not have a relationship. Yeah, and then God sneezed. And then so he does not, you believe that he does not have a relationship with Pietro, that really what he did is, as he said, the best act that he could do to spare everyone's life, that he inflated the relationships that he had and the knowledge that he had from them in order to pass himself off as not an enemy.
Okay, thank you.
And you can also see genuine confusion as he talks about kind of a bit of his background. You can see that he's still kind of puzzling through a number of things about himself. As to why, you don't know. Prince doesn't know all these things about himself, but you can tell that when he is showing that level of confusion, it is genuine. And like it's something been in the back of your mind, you're not sure up until now, but now you kind of are getting this view. You can tell, yeah, he's not trying to pull the wool over your eyes.
Jasper, not knowing what to make of this, he just takes his cane and he just starts like hitting the bottom of it into like the rubble that he's next to, and just lets out an exacerbated groan.
I mean, out of character, shouldn't Jasper have some idea of what I am?
Oh, I've got some idea.
Okay, all right.
I can't remember. Did you make knowledge checks and I told you, or
Oh, I got such a high knowledge check that you actually
that's right?
gave me. Yes.
Okay,
And you
I
said that
remember now.
I would just kind of like things would I would kind of put the pieces together.
That's right.
And I'm already putting another piece together.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you are figuring out what's going on, because the thing is, what Prince is very obscure. It is not well known. So yes.
So I'm gonna say, well, do you have any useful information about Pietro for us? Like I said, I've been looking for him for a long time, and it
I
seems like
know
we all have
that
reason to.
he is a crazy megalomaniac vampire who apparently is controlling a bunch of other megalomaniac vampire supremacists.
A lot of suffering
Why?
for a lot of people.
I. Okay, there's no reason to sense mode of that.
Nomad. You,
Yes.
your friend that we put to judgment, that the city put to judgment. He mentioned
Yes.
that tiefling that you know, right?
Yes, I do.
And that's the same tiefling, right? The vampire,
Yes,
the
it is.
Helgrim. Okay.
How do you
And
know
you're-
him?
I don't, but
Well,
Nomad.
Nomad. How does Nomad know him?
Well, hold on.
Go
And
ahead, continue.
your friend said that Helgrim was accompanied by a vampiress, Emmeline
Yes.
Tempest, I believe he said.
The name doesn't ring familiar to me.
Okay.
And-
I am going to. I'm hearing this conversation, right? I can't hear you, Taggart. Oh, he's talking to his wife. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was having some audio difficulties. I finally got it figured out and didn't realize I had myself muted afterwards.
Apparently knows one of them. We all know Pietro.
I do not know Pietro.
During this
This is the first
conversation,
I've
he
heard
asked
his name.
Nomad if he knew Emmeline Tempest or something like that. I'm going to sense motive on both of them if that's possible.
Why do you ask after Emmeline Temple? You know her, Jasper?
I do.
Why are you looking for her? I understand.
I mean, at this point, I'd be surprised if Gabe and Hestia aren't don't have any connection to these vampires we just met.
Actually, they don't. They're the only two who don't. Which Erica's away from the computer checking on Thomas right now, and Gabriel's gone, so it is sufficient.
Can I want to softly start a bardic. I'm going to summon instrument and softly do a bardic performance of like singing.
Okay.
And I also want
To what end?
Well, I'm getting to it.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to. I've got a feat called Spell Song. I
Mm-hmm.
can hide a spell cast in a song.
Okay.
Wait, actually, this is will negates. Will he notice if he does not pass a will save?
Let me check.
So would like to kind of nudge Jasper and softly whisper, "I'd like a moment with you when we get the chance." Alone.
Jasper.
It is not a will save. It is a perception or sense motive to recognize that you are casting a spell. So.
Okay. Well, I have Spell Song, and I think before I hold on, let me make sure I can even do this. I think I can do this. Use an antibiotic performance. Perform check, and they have to do a perception against my performance. Okay. So
Yep.
I am going to do a sing performance check. 19. 39. You have to be 39.
Okay. No one's beating that.
I am doing Sense Next of Kin on Jasper because of this woman.
Okay. Go ahead. You don't know what's going on, Jasper, but make a will save, please.
Absolutely. Okay, beat that.
Oh, wow. Okay, never mind.
Your spell fails.
I know. I know. Alright, well, never mind. Well, I tried. Alright, continue.
Are you looking for this Pietro character?
You talking to me?
Yep.
Mammoth.
What did you say?
Are you looking for Pietro? Is that where your interests lie?
Yes. As I've said, I've been looking for him for a very long time.
Is he a friend of yours, or?
Malith is going to laugh and say, hardly. Um, I guess I can't hide this forever, but truthfully, he's my father.
I see.
The expression on Jasper's face is almost anger.
Hey, I'm
Like anger and hurt.
Malith is going to look at him and get a sad look on her face and be like, look, I'm not happy with that fact. My mother died giving birth to me, as most women do when they have children of vampires. And I know, as I said, he's caused a lot of suffering for a lot of people, not least in my own life. I am certainly not its friend.
I'm going to try the same thing on Malith, and I'm going to try and mask it again. Is that okay?
It's so much easier if you tell people what you're trying to do. But anyway.
Well, I'm just.
Well, okay. So just so that you know, you can't get any more information from casting discern next of kin than what the person knows or believes.
Yeah.
I guess you can gather their attitude towards that person, but that's about the only information that you can get. I guess if you're going specifically for this guy, unless you're looking for other people's information, but just so that you know. So I mean, you're very welcome to do that. I'm just letting you know, so that if you're expecting to get like deep dark personal information about her father, it's like that you've pretty much gotten all the information you could get, unless you don't believe it. If you doubt what she's saying, then you could potentially get information.
I'm trying to figure out. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you wanna cast it on her, then go ahead.
No. I'm trying to figure out stuff from my backstory, but go ahead.
That's all I've got. At this point, the night is up to you guys. Once you're done with whatever role playing you want to do, we can call it. But
And then Enrique has a lot of homework.
yeah, I mean, it's nice thing. It's super easy compared to previous campaigns. That is one of the benefits. Yeah.
Are we camping here? I think
it's like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon right now.
Oh, it's early.
And you still have the villagers with you.
Oh, right. Oh, we're in a really tight spot. Out of character.
Dang, we're in a tight spot.
Anyway, Malith is going to look at Jasper again. Again, sad to say, I am truly sorry for whatever pain that my father has caused you. As I said, I do not approve of him. I am not friends with him. If anything, I want to end the suffering he causes.
Is there anything? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Or a 7, I guess. 7.
Yeah. So not
We're not rocking the sense mode and checks tonight.
I'm not rocking really any rules tonight except for the wisdom save.
This is really disappointing.
Is there anything that we should know about Pietro in specific? Anything that we could use to our advantage? Does he still care for you, perhaps, Maleth, or?
I don't know that he ever did care for me. I'm not certain what all he knows about me, to be honest. As I said, I've been hunting him for a very long time. I can't say that he's ever looked for me. And I don't know to what extent he knows I'm looking for him. I'm sure, as powerful he is, he has some idea. But I have never actually met him. I know of him through what my mother told the uncle who raised me and what I found out through trying to find him again to end some people. We've never interacted.
Is there anything you know of, Jasper?
Yes. Another time.
I understand.
Me too. Just know we're here to listen whenever you do want to talk, and I will do whatever I can to help in your
What?
goals against him.
What do you hope to accomplish when you find him?
I want to ensure. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Oh, I was going to say, I want to ensure he causes no more harm to anyone. I only know of one surefire way to do that.
Obliteration.
Malith will nod. I don't know how that aligns with what you would like to do with him. But hopefully there's some common ground.
As I said before, nobody's meant to live forever.
Malith will nod.
Nervous glances towards Prince.
What happened? I heard my name.
Nice.
Said nervous glances towards Prince.
Well, I don't know what that.
Maybe, I don't know. I guess Prince didn't hear.
If he didn't hear, he didn't hear.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else that you guys want to go over right now, or do we want to pick up from here next time?
He'd probably pick up from here next time because I have no slight. I don't have any clue out of character what could possibly we could do besides walk into Pietro's capital.
Oh yeah,
Sounds
he
like
did say that the capital is under control. So
Under control, yes, by Pietro, which means we would have been walking into like hell. Or he could have been bluffing, but I feel like I would have gotten to roll a sense motive, but I don't think he was bluffing.
You might have gotten to roll a sense motive.
Keep in mind, my sense motive is
When there's obvious things, I will tell you when to roll things.
Okay.
There will be times though that if you don't ask, then we won't.
Man.
So
All right. Well, now that I know that.
yeah. But I mean, don't worry that you're gonna not see the big sign that says treasure here because you didn't think to roll perception when you entered the room.
Well, I'm the perfect character. Anyways, I don't know why I didn't think about that. All right.
Captain
That's for
Skills over here.
Yeah, I just didn't think about it.
think about what?
Actually, Jasper would like to do one thing
Okay.
in character because
Yep.
we're talking out of character right now, right?
Are we? What are you doing? What do you want to do?
I was talking out of character.
Yeah. Okay.
Either way.
So, Jasper would like to talk
Go ahead.
to Hestia.
What's up?
Hey. So, in the middle of all this pain, you see Jasper look to you
And roll a sense motive. Oh.
Give me that info.
So in Jasper's eyes, in his expression, you see that grimace, you see that pain, you see the mixed emotions, but the thing that's particular in the way that he looks at you is something you haven't seen before, but he's looking at you almost like how like a younger brother would look to a younger brother would look to an older sister. And he whispers towards you, and he quietly asks, "Have you, with your ability to be in touch with souls, have you looked into the soul of a vampire? Have you ever had the chance?"
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll a knowledge religion check. Sorry. You have not before had the opportunity.
I have not.
Not with a living vampire, at least. Or an unliving vampire?
Well, right.
I've not been able to have the privilege.
You see a very a disappointed look on Jasper's face, and he says, "Then I'll just." And he sighs deeply. "I'll just have to."
What do you mean?
There. Another time.
Okay, well, if it has a soul, I should be able to talk to its ghost.
Hey, that may be useful sometime.
I have the ability to talk to haunts all the time.
Okay. All right, I'll remember that.
Yeah, do not shy away from the people of the dead. They're very useful. They have a lot of interest in the living, so.
Wait, have you? You've killed an intelligent undead before.
Not many.
You have.
Yeah, I have, but
I mean,
not many.
yeah.
Have you ever spoken to their spirit after you slay them?
No, I haven't.
All right.
Not for my side roll.
Jasper sighs, nods, and looks back to the rest of the group.
yes, you see actually for a moment tears start coming down Jasper's eyes, and he turns and he distances himself from the group.
I think that is where we will call it for tonight. So we don't get too deep into any role play. With time being what it is. Thank you to any viewers. It has been a pleasure having you here. Till next time, in the land of death.